fans, and welcome to episode 4 of the Javelina Coaches Show on the Mendoza's Pharmacy Javelina Sports Network. Appreciate you stopping by, and we're going to get our 4th episode of this fall started with our head Javelina football coach, Michael Salinas. Coach, thank you for taking some time out once again.
Thanks again for having me, Mark.
I know it was a difficult Saturday for you and your student athletes against a really good team in A&M Commerce that was here on Saturday. What was the gist, what was the main tone of your message to your players at the end of the day?
Well, ultimately, all the goals that we want to accomplish are still in front of us. So our guys understand that. I think anything can happen in this league. It was proven Saturday with some of the outcomes of some of the ball games or how close they were. So this is a league where you got to show up every week and make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. And unfortunately for us, didn't think we played our best football Saturday. So we're going to go back to work and fix the things that we got to fix.
What were when you had the chance, I'm sure you and your coaches have had a chance to look at the game or kind of take a step back and maybe dissect the film a little bit. What were the things that you noticed looking back in hindsight now?
I think it was just lack of execution. We failed to execute at crucial times in the ball game that ended up costing us. Could have got some momentum going our way and didn't get the ball in the end zone, and then gave up some big plays on defense, which you can't do versus a good team.
There were a lot of things that didn't go your team's way on Saturday, but there were two critical. You guys did a good job as far as penalties are concerned so far this season, but there were two critical penalties that hurt you guys on Saturday that extended drives, and Commerce turned those into touchdowns in both instances. What was your message to your team? How do you try and avoid critical penalties like that hurting you guys in the future?
Those are the things that we have talked about, and we've done a good job to this point. Didn't go our way Saturday, but our guys got to understand that we want to make folks earn things. We don't want to bail them out or give them a situation where we can extend drives because of something that we can control. So we just have to continue to pay attention to detail and make sure we're doing all the little things right as we prepare for our next conference opponent.
One of the most important things, in my opinion at least, coming off a loss like that is accountability. You want to make sure that everyone needs to takes a look in the mirror and tries to figure out what they can do to get better and what things went wrong and how they correct those mistakes in the future. How do you feel like your team handled Saturday's game from an accountability standpoint?
I think they've done a good job. We talked yesterday and went through it. It's disappointing when you don't play your best football. So I'll take the blame as their head football coach for not having them prepared. But I think our guys understand that we are a good football team. They understand that we did not give our best performance on Saturday, and I think they're going to respond the right way with their preparation and work in our open week. We have some time to focus on ourselves and continue to get better. We're not where we need to be by any means in any phase of the game. So we're going to take this time, find a way to use it to our advantage, and prepare for Midwestern State.
Now, you mentioned when we talked the past few weeks about how on Sunday, your team came back and put in some work in one way or another to get prepared, and it's easy to do that after a win because everybody's feeling good and patting themselves on the back. But the challenge is to come back after a difficult game like Saturday and keep the attitude and the energy right, and make sure that there's no sort of lapse in intensity or concentration. Do you feel like your team had the right attitude yesterday coming back?
I do. We talked to them about whether it goes our way or not. We're going to reflect on it for 24 hours, and we're going to move on to the next one. So they came in yesterday and put in a good day's work. I think their focus is where it needs to be. I think everyone self-reflected a little bit and understand what we have to do if we want to continue to get better. And if we want to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish as a team, the message has been for us that we have to get better week in and week out. So we're going to continue to press and continue to do the things that we have to do to get better. This is a program that hasn't had an open week, an idle week like this in quite a long time, but like you said, gives the team an opportunity to rest up, get healthy, and also work on some things and try and make sure that 2 weeks from today when you guys are in Wichita Falls, that everybody's prepared and ready to go. What are the advantages to having this open week, and what are the things you guys want to do to best take advantage of it? I think it comes at a good time for us. We're almost at the midpoint of our season, so we have a chance, one, to get healed up a little bit and heal up any bumps and bruises, and then two, we can refocus on sort of getting back to basics, so to say, as we get to this point in the season, to make sure that we're doing the things right in order to win football games. So we're going to go back to basics, so to say, and focus on the details and try to keep the main thing, and that's what can we do individually to help our team get better. What are the boxes you want to check at the end of this week, even without an opponent, to say, okay, we had a successful week, we're ready to start the week of preparation for Midwestern State?
Just to make sure that our guys are focused. Again, we handle the bye week the right way. We get 3 or 4 good days of practice in preparation, and make sure that we fix the things that we identified as a staff that need to be fixed.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. Thank you for stopping by. Again, Javelina's off this week. They will be in Midwestern State on October 9th, and then they will be back at home. The next home game against Lincoln right here at Javelina Stadium at 7 p.m. on October 16th. We hope to have you all there. Coach, thank you so much for the time. We'll see you again in not too long.
Thanks again, Mark.
We'll take our first break here on the Javelina Coaches Show. Up next is our head Javelina volleyball coach, Tanya Allen. So don't go away. We have more Coaches Show coming up next. Welcome back to episode 4 of the Javelina Coaches Show here in the 2021-22 academic year, and we're joined by our next guest, the head Javelina indoor volleyball coach and the beach volleyball coach, Tanya Allen. Coach, thank you for taking some time out once again.
Thank you.
3 games into the conference schedule, you guys are 3-0. You're 8-0 overall. You've won now 20 straight regular season games. You come off a Saturday victory over A&M International, and one of the biggest reasons why you guys had success on Saturday was Nicole Murphy, who had 28 digs for you guys. What were the things how happy are you with Nicole's performance on Saturday? How important was that to the victory?
It's huge. I mean, she can really change a game. She's capable of stopping or at least slowing down some of the better hitters in the conference. She's very quick and reads the game, reads the ball really, really well. But also she's very coachable. I mean, we can give her a scouting report and she remembers it. She definitely can apply it to the way she's playing, and it helps her have an edge. I think it really helps that she has good defenders around her. It makes her job a little bit easier. She has good blockers in front of her, taking up a certain part of the court, kind of makes it easier for her to dig. But overall, I think collectively as a team, we're pretty good defensively, but she leads the pack.
Yeah, she mentioned when we talked to her on Saturday, she said, well, the blockers doing their job helps me do mine, and indicative of sort of the team effort that it takes for you guys to have success. Now, she was a player who played a role for you guys when she got here as a freshman back in 2018, which seems like ages ago already,
Yeah.
but she had the most digs in a season by a freshman that year. What's it been like for you to watch her grow, evolve, improve over the last few seasons?
It's fantastic. She came in with natural ability. She came in with natural talent. We knew that, but she lacked confidence and she lacked like a real knowledge of the game, I think. So over the course of the seasons, the biggest thing I've seen grow in her is her confidence. She knows when she's capable of making digs. She knows that she can expect a lot from herself, and it's cool to see her be so confident in her abilities and kind of challenging herself on the daily to see how much more she can do, how much better she can get. But I really like to see the competitiveness in her. We've really challenged her to lead more vocally and be more animated on the court, which is tough for her. She's a quiet kid, and she's really stepped up and making those changes, and I think it's impacted her game as well.
One of the things that the dig stat, just looking at it, the box doesn't tell you, is how well she's passing when she's digging the ball. And obviously, a libero who passes the ball well makes it a lot easier for you guys to run the offense that you're trying to run.
Correct.
How happy are you? Have you been pleased with the job she's done passing, putting the ball in the right spot for your setters so far?
Yeah, she does a good job in serve receive. She has a great platform. Naturally, her platform's really good. We're working on her feet, kind of matching that, because she's pretty good for long stretches, and every now and then she has a few balls that she doesn't get her feet to, and so we're having her pass a lot more of the court. We're trying to get her to kind of read the servers a little bit better so she can take up majority of the court and lessen the load on quite a few of our other more inexperienced passers.
When you have a week like last week, normally you guys will play twice like you will this week. You get Angelo on Friday and Lubbock on Saturday. Does it give you guys a chance to take a little bit of a breath when there's only one match in a week, or is that just something that doesn't really happen over the course of the season?
I think, yes, it gives you more recovery time. I mean, definitely, and it also helps. You only have to prepare for one team during the week, so you can really focus on what they do and what you need to do to match it. So that kind of lessens our scouting report duties and as far as teaching the kids. But it's still early in the season, and we missed a weekend of play because of COVID reasons. So I think at this point we didn't necessarily need the rest, but we'll take it. We won't complain.
One of the things you said on Saturday was you feel like your team sometimes can rely a little too much on the opponent making mistakes
Right.
rather than just making the plays that they need to win points. How do you try and correct that as a coach?
We want to instill a level of aggression, kind of a sense of urgency. We have to score now. I think the girls are very patient, so there'll be a lot of long rallies with our team because we dig a lot of balls and they kind of sit back and be patient. But we don't ever want them to fear errors. I don't want them to just chip the ball in the court, just easily serve the ball in the court. I want them to be aggressive and go after that ace or go after that kill with confidence that you may miss sometimes, but more often than not you won't.
Yeah, you mentioned on Saturday when we were talking about your job your team did serving. You said you're okay, I'm okay with the miss as long as it's the right kind of miss. Is that how do you try and instill sort of a mentality where the players don't fear failure? How do you try and instill that and make that a part of every player?
I imagine that most of the time it's done in practice. We reward and constantly preach execution or a goal of some sort where if it's an error and it's the right kind of error, so if we're working on hitting cross court and you miss, out of bounds cross court, that's a great error. We're not going to punish you. We're not going to be upset about that. Where if you're mishitting balls down the line or off the block, that's not the right kind of error. So we're going to get on you a little bit. And so it's not about errors, that we're really addressing. It's more about the execution of whatever skill we're working on. So I think, they kind of just learn they're not going to be in trouble for making errors. They're as long as they're the right kind of errors and you're really trying to achieve a goal of some sort.
You'll have two of your toughest tests on your schedule this
Absolutely.
week. You'll be at Angelo on Friday night and then at Lubbock on Saturday morning. Two teams that are undefeated right now in the Lone Star Conference. What are the things you need to do to make sure your team is prepared for the challenges, for some of the adversity that they're going to face, that you're always faced when you're playing top-notch opponents?
Yeah, I think the goals are the same. Doesn't matter who it is. We have to pass the ball better in serve receive. We've got to be more consistent with our passing because we need to be in system as much as possible so we can run an offense and make it difficult on them. I think we're definitely going to have to step up our blocking a little bit more. We've been playing teams that are kind of challenging us around the block, but these teams this weekend, the attackers, are definitely going to challenge our block. They're going to try to attack the seams, the gaps, and so we're going to have to be really good at pressing our hands and really taking up space. And I think we're going to have to maintain a level of consistent play. If it's up and down, we're going to lose those battles. So we've got to be very level-headed, and we've got to make sure that we're not making silly errors and costing ourselves silly points.
How important do you think it is over the course of a season to make sure that your players know that the standard's the same, the goals are the same, the standard you have for them is the same? Because obviously the things you want to do to succeed don't change regardless of whether or not who the opponent is. How important is it to keep that keep the message the same?
Yeah, I think it's the number one message from the coaching staff because you can't overlook anyone. You can't look past a team and set your goals for a future match because you'll let one slide and you'll lose. So I think the goals as far as, execution and stat goals, those kind of things, they don't change. It doesn't matter who the opponent is on the other side. We're trying to hit 230 or above. We're trying to pass a 2.3. It doesn't matter who it is. We have goals on our side that have to be maintained or we're not going to be successful.
All right, and fans, just remember, mark on your schedule, the Javeliners will be on the road this week, but they will be back at home on the 8th against Texas Women's on that Friday evening, so be sure to mark your calendar. We hope to have you back at the Spec that evening for another edition of Javelina Volleyball here in Kingsville. Coach, best of luck this week. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We'll take one more break on the Javelina Coaches Show. Don't go away. We will be right back.
To get the match started, and it will be the junior from Rose Hill, Kansas, Emily Witt, who will head back to serve. And the third home match of the year for the Javelinas is underway, and an ace in that attack. Second kill of the match for Allen East as Jackson serves it for an ace. Is in for TAMIU. Another serve from Murph. Nearly another ace. Witt for Jackson, who puts it.
That's how they tried to set one as well. About like 3 blocks back to back there at the beginning.
Alanis was not senior outside hitter who transferred from Laredo College. Murph for Witt for Jackson. One more time. Won 18 of the last 20 meetings. Ruiz for Witt for Jackson, but in a perfect spot was Gomez. Ortiz that Schenkel to Witt. Jackson though has it blocked. Time is Emily Witt. The reigning LSC setter of the year. That one is punched over by Ortiz. Now set for Alanis for the kill. Gomez is a senior from Alamo, Texas, appearing in her 5th match this season. A good pass by Murph. Witt tried the surprise attack from the setting spot. It didn't work. Now Jackson battling at the net. Ruiz gets it up for Lukenbach, but Catalina gets it over and keeps it inside the poles. The set for Alanis, but a good deflection allows International to set up. Guerra on the attack has it blocked. Martinez now will try her luck with Ortiz. 9 digs closing out in a double-double. Guerra with the attack. Jackson for Witt. For Alanis looking for kill number 10. It doesn't come right there. Herrera on the attack, but Witt, check that. Ruiz, the pass to Witt. Alanis keeps it in, and there is kill and out, but Groman keeps it in the air. Lukenbach has that dug by Unruh. Murph for Witt as Jackson reaches 10 kills. Ruiz to Witt. Jackson once again ties it up for 4 for the Dust Devils. Back within 2. Alexa Ruiz to serve. Gosi with a diving set to get that up. Jackson with the Murph to Witt. The set for Jackson, and that just lands in.
Welcome back to episode 4 of the Javelina Coaches Show here in the 2021-22 academic year, and we're joined by our next guest, and that is our head Javelina tennis coach, Autumn Wollenzien. Coach, thank you so much for coming back, making some time out for us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you guys just completed your 3rd event of the fall, and I remember when we talked to start the fall, you mentioned you had a few goals laid out for your team. You said you wanted to see how in shape your team was, you wanted to see how confident they were on the court, you wanted them to stay healthy, and the other thing was you wanted to see if these players could push themselves and make it to some rounds in these events they hadn't made it to before. How many of those goals you think were accomplished this fall?
Several. Several were accomplished. We are in shape. We played a lot of tennis this past weekend, which is good. You know, you want to see your team play a lot of matches, get a lot of experience. A couple girls made it to the quarterfinals. Yes, made it to the quarterfinals, and and the ones who did make it to the quarterfinals were sophomores, so that's a good thing. That's a great thing, and yeah, we need to work on some confidence, and I think that comes with time and more practice.
How much of this time for you in this fall was spent? I don't, maybe there's a better word for this or term for this, but like self-scouting, figuring out what your team does well, what they need to work on, and knowing what you need to get better at before the spring rolls around.
Most of it, you know, that's what the great thing about playing these fall tournaments is about. You know, when you have new players and we have returning players and they spent the whole summer away, and they may not have played as much tennis as they needed to, and then trying to get to know your new players. These fall tournaments help you to see them in pressure situations and match situations, and directly you get to learn about them and their personalities and how they think on the court. So it's a great asset to have. It is a lot of tennis in a day. I mean, one girl played two 3-hour matches in one day, you know, and then had to turn around and play 2 doubles matches. So it's a lot of tennis. It can be rough on your body. However, it's a great introduction to college tennis. I did get to see her fight, and I did get to see her last throughout those matches. And although, you know, once she got to the last doubles match, she was very tired, she still fought for her team, and I was proud to see that.
How happy were you with the fight, the competitiveness you saw from your student athletes?
The fight is there. We just have to work on some confidence. You know, it's you know, last year they had no clue what they were up against, and they had no clue of what, you know, what was out there. Now they have a little bit of a clue, and it's like, you know, kind of freaking them out. And it's like, no, don't let it freak you out. Just go out there and play, because you're just as good as them. So.
How happy were you with the play you saw from your team in doubles?
Very happy. I feel like we made some strides. We have some things that we do need to work on. It's not as bad as I think. I'm trying to remain optimistic. You know, doubles has not always been our strong suit, but we're going to work really hard to make it, you know, stronger than we have in the past.
Yeah, positivity is always important for a coach.
Yes, very much so.
One of the things you said was, well, I shouldn't say that, but most of your student athletes had not gone through a fall season until this fall season, and
yes.
You talked about how they were part of it was going to be a little bit of a learning experience, because it's different, because you're having to play different opponents from different schools. You have to kind of adjust the styles of play throughout the course of a day. How do you feel like your student athletes did? Do you feel like they handled sort of the new experience as well of having a fall season for the first time for some of them?
Yes, you know, what's funny is this is more of what they're used to as far as growing up playing junior tennis, because these are how tournaments go. You know, you might play 2 or 3 matches in a day. I mean, most of the time not 3 matches, but usually 2 matches. And you're going to play different opponents. And the difference is these opponents now represent different schools. Before playing junior tennis, they're all representing themselves. So, you know, you get the added layer of, oh, this person is from this school. And, you know, it really shouldn't matter. You know, the ball is the same and the court is the same size. So, you know, that's really what they need to focus on. I think that as far as it being their first true fall tournament, they really stepped up to the plate well. Several girls like playing for the team versus playing for themselves. They feel less pressure. They feel they have something bigger to play for than themselves. So sometimes these fall tournaments are harder, just because of that idea of you know, ultimately they're playing for themselves in an individual match rather than a dual match where they're playing for, you know, the team and the school.
What was your message to the team at the end of the regional in San Angelo?
We have things to work on, and we are all on the same page. We talked about being all on the same page as far as the things that we need to work on for the next month and a half, and we talked about the good things that did happen. You know, as far as those who made it pretty far in the tournament, both in the main draw and the consolation. We had one player to win her draw, and I think that was excellent. I think she showed great grit and confidence in herself and her abilities, and to win the whole draw is a huge accomplishment. So I'm very proud of that. That was Yana. I think that they are prepared to, you know, kind of transition into, okay, we're going to get to work, and we have things to do.
Now, you mentioned before we got this started, your team might not be done here in the fall, but how excited are you to watch your team on the court again when spring finally rolls around? I
mean, it's my favorite time of the year. Mm-hmm. You know, January, February is like, you know, the buzz is exciting. The start of the season is exciting, you know, especially with them, you know, going away for a little bit of a break and being able to be home and spend time with their family, come back comfortable, come back clear-minded, come back ready to play. you know, it's like, I mean, I have goosebumps talking about it. I mean, for a coach, it's like your season is your time to shine and your time to show what you've been working on, and it's the most exciting time of the year. I mean, it's I don't even know how to put it into words, but it's a lot of fun, and I'm really excited about this group just because they have a little experience under their belt, and we're going to grow some confidence, and we're going to be good.
And well, Coach, next time we see it will be springtime, and we'll get to talk about the start of the spring season. Thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you everyone for tuning into the newest episode of the Javelina Coaches Show. Thank you to our other guests, Tanya Allen and Michael Salinas. Don't forget, we are here on the Javelina Athletics YouTube channel every week, so be sure to subscribe. And we will see you again next week on the Javelina Coaches Show.